No NFL quarterback has ever had the throwing wrist injury that Joe Burrow has for the Bengals. Should Cincinnati fans and Burrow fans be worried? This is Dr. David Chow, Pro Football Doc at Sports Injury Central, only place for a true injury analysis. And our analysis, when it first happened, was that it was a scapholunate ligament injury. It is a ligament that attaches two bones in the wrist together, which is why Joe Burrow could not throw a football. We talked about it at length on the Believe Network with Solomon Wilcots here. We talked about how he's going to need surgery, and he's had it, but also the optimism. So let's break it down. There's been a lot of concern recently, some of it appropriately discussed by my guys, Pat McAfee on his show. Darius Butler, one of his recurring guests, hosts, said that he had this injury and has lost half his range of motion. That's got to be a concern. AJ Hawk brought up that he had the issue, and then there was talk about blood flow and so forth. Those are all very legitimate concerns, but here is where I am not very worried about Joe Burrow, even though this indeed is the only time an NFL quarterback has had this injury. He suffered it acutely. It wasn't chronic. It was treated immediately, and he had the surgery, and so far has made a big recovery. Why am I not worried about his range of motion? Obviously, if you lose half your range of motion for a throwing wrist, that would be huge. I'm not worried about it because Darius Butler was a tough guy. He played through that scapholunate ligament tear the rest of the season and then had surgery. So his surgery was likely a delayed repair or reconstruction and may have involved a little bit of a fusion, which is the loss of range of motion. Joe Burrow's situation is not that. The medical staff took care of it immediately. He did not continue to play. He couldn't follow through and throw a ball because of the instability, which is what clued us into the ligament issue. But it was fixed acutely with a primary repair, which gives better results. Take Brock Purdy, for example. Look at his recovery from the acute injury to the ulnar collateral ligament when it was repaired. He did very well last season. Now, if it were a reconstruction, like the Tommy John is reconstruction, it would take a lot longer, like you see on baseball pitchers, etc. So number one, it was fixed acutely, recognized and fixed acutely, and was an acute injury. Number two, blood flow really isn't much of an issue here. He's not going to have cold weather issues. Scaphoid bones have blood flow issues. Fusion have blood flow issues. Ligament repairs acutely typically do not. So that's the other reason for optimism here. Bottom line is this: we stand behind that. We expect Joe Burrow to be fine this season despite a never-before-seen wrist injury on an NFL quarterback. It was handled well, fixed acutely. Expect him to have a reasonable off-season program and be ready for training camp and 100% for the season. Now, what's interesting is Joe Burrow has really never fully participated in a training camp. Holdout one year, coming off the knee injury the next year, the appendectomy the year after that, and then last year was the calf issue, and he's been great. So even if he isn't full participation at training camp, still expect Joe Burrow to be great this year for the Cincinnati Bengals. Don't have range of motion worries, don't have blood flow worries just because of the type of injury it is. And despite him being the only one to have it, we have good confidence that he will have a very good 2024 campaign, especially in terms of the wrist. This is Dr. David Chow, Pro Football Doc. We always like delivering good news. For the only place for true injury analysis as opposed to injury reporting, go to Sports Injury Central at sicscore.com. Thanks for watching.